Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to the Coach's Corner here on Heart of Ohio Sports. We are live here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. I'm your host, Nate Mullins. I'm joined tonight by my special guest, Calvert head boys basketball coach, Jon Otterbacher. How we going?
Doing well, thanks. Thanks for having us here.
You know what? I'm excited. I'm really excited to have you on. Coach, it's been a while since I've seen you, and the last time I saw you, well, you just finished a magical ride last year. I mean, that was one heck of a ride. Now, I know you guys are already into this season, but I do want to just take a moment and just kind of step back because that's the last time we were on any broadcast to be able to cover you guys there at Bowling Green at the Stroh Center. We were there for it, where it all came to an end. Talk about that magical ride and that group that you guys had that year. I mean, that was a special group of kids.
Looking back at it, and we stress to the kids about not worrying about the wins and losses. We look to compete for a league title year in and year out. If it doesn't happen, at least we gave it our shot. We look to compete for districts and put ourselves in the best situation we can to be successful. And Garrett hitting that buzzer beater against Old Fort in the second game of the season, going on to just continuing to outplay and out-hustle teams and getting to the end of the season where we were unblemished. And you didn't know how things were going to continue to go, but then we end up scheduling Western Reserve, who was number 2 in Division III at the time, at their place. I think they were looking to pick up a win and get in a marquee win on their court, and we decided that we weren't ready for that.
Yeah.
And then going into the tournament, we knew that everybody's going to give it our best game, their best game, every punch. Even like North Baltimore played us extremely well.
Yeah. That was a tough one.
Cary, Old Fort, Ottoville, and we just couldn't find the right grooves in the regional final game against Antwerp.
And they were kind of a buzzsaw there at the end. I mean, it was a tough opponent to run into there at the end, but you guys had one heck of a group, a senior heavy group, if I will. Now, coming into this season, now we can talk all we want about that group. We could probably talk for
days.
This whole half-hour, 45-minute episode about last year. It was fun. But, folks, that's behind us. Now let's talk about the present time. You guys have already played a game.
Yep.
We talked a little bit before the show started about that, and we were kind of glossing over Luka Doncic highlights. And I said, man, he's so fun to watch. And, you kind of had a little bit of a little anecdote on that kind of. You want to touch on that? I mean, what happened in that first game?
Well, we get into the game and play Cardinal Stritch, who's a very quality program.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes in the Toledo area like to go there. High caliber kids that work hard and just a great team all around. They return about everybody from last year. And we knew they were going to be good, and they jump out to a big lead. And I just think that our youth and inexperience, we were a little shell-shocked, so we got down big pretty early. And battled back and continued to battle. Cut it to 3 with 4 minutes to go. And we're looking like we're going to start competing and possibly come out with a win after battling from so far behind. And we went to the NBA style of we're going to try to do everything on our own. And Cardinal Stritch is just a little bit better at it. And we went from a 3-point deficit with 4 minutes to go, and we end up losing by 20.
Now, is that a situation where they kind of lulled you into it because that's their brand, and they maybe your guys saw them playing that ISO ball and then kind of tried to match them essentially, shot for shot?
I think it was more of a varsity experience type of thing where we're used to a predominantly JV team from last year, used to everything being easy, so I'm going to be able to take my guy off the dribble. Well, Cardinal Stritch is pretty athletic, so we weren't able to do that, and we turned the ball over and took some quick shots, and they capitalized on our mistakes.
Yeah. So, tough loss to start the season. You got another tough opponent this Friday. I mean, you got Old Fort coming up. Now, you got to go to Old Fort to play in their gymnasium. I mean, we were talking a little bit about their facilities and how beautiful that place is, and it's a tough place to play, especially early in the season. Talk about the mentality going into this game.
Just like our team from last year, they lost a lot. And
they really did.
The dynamic of their team coming forward is now just guard-oriented. So they're looking to press, and they're looking to trap, and they're looking to play hard, intense defense. So we're going to have to be ready for that. The bigger court's going to help spread them out a little bit, so it's going to make them cover a little bit more ground. But We do enjoy the space on a bigger court, and I think they have some nice athletes, and they'll be in the top couple in the league like they are year in and year out.
You and Coach Hoover, you got battles going on these last few years. I mean, talk about that rivalry. And it's kind of a backyard rivalry. I mean, that's a 5-minute drive for most people. Get over there to that facility. I mean, talk about that. Obviously, there's nothing for you because you're a coach. You just think about the X's and O's. But I mean, for us media guys, we like to play this stuff up a little bit. So I mean,
you guys
talk about the backyard rivalry aspect of it.
We enjoy it. And to be honest, I think probably the first 3 or 4 years they had us pretty good. About 4 years ago, they had just beaten us by 25, I think, and we went at them in the tournament, which I think opened up some people's eyes. And either I'm the dumbest coach in the world or the smartest. And we switched a couple things here and there and ended up getting them in the tournament. And then since then, they've been very competitive, very hard-fought battles. They've gone back and forth. Like I said, Garrett had the game-winning 30-footer last year to seal the victory there, and it's kids that have seen each other growing up playing youth basketball and county baseball, and they're friends outside of the sport.
Yep.
But in the sport, I wouldn't be amazed if they didn't like each other, which is fine. That's
inside the lines.
Inside the lines. That's part of being a competitor, and we're okay with that as long as you play hard and play the right way. We're ready for it.
Nice. All right, so you got this matchup with Old Fort coming up, but talk about this team a little bit. I mean, you guys got a different group this year. A lot of seniors that left last year, a lot of new guys. You talked about, some of these guys had a lot of JV experience from last year, so it might not be quite as easy as it was last year for some of these guys, but talk about these guys stepping into these leadership roles this year because you got, 6, 7 seniors last year, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of shoes to fill there. And how are these guys stepping into those shoes?
It's been actually up and down. A different guy is going to step up in practice and scrimmages, and we're seeing things that we didn't see the week before, and then other kids are having to adjust and play a different game. Starting off with Nick Palm being the point guard and not the replacement for Garrett because he's a different individual and a different type of player, but Nick's doing a very good job being a leader and trying to get kids in the right spot. Jon Otterbacher had a pretty good game Saturday night, but for the last 2 weeks hasn't made a shot in practice or in scrimmages. So it's like we don't know which kid is going to step up and be ready to go. We
turn the lights on. And he's ready to go.
We got a bunch of nice athletes that are still learning and still growing and figuring out what varsity basketball is all about. And we're going to be deeper than we have been in the last couple of years, but we're going to be very young and very inexperienced. So it might take some time for us to get into a groove, but once we do, I think we're going to be a very competitive team.
So those are the two guys right now that are kind of you're leaning on for leadership at the moment. I mean, Caden's a junior this year, and then Nick's a senior this year. So are there any other seniors on this roster?
Lee Morgan.
Nice.
Lee's
I like Lee. Lee's a good kid.
He is a very good kid, very good family.
He's a big Heart of Ohio sports fan. I got to get him a shirt. I really do. I got to get him a shirt. I tried to get him on a podcast, but it didn't. Timing didn't work out right. We'll get it worked out.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
He's a good leader. He's accepting his role, working hard and being a good defender and trying to finish around the rim. He knows what he can do offensively and what he is expected to do defensively. And as he continues to grow and mature, he's going to go into a nice leadership role as well.
Nice. So outside of Lee Morgan, though, that's pretty much it for the seniors?
Yep, we have 2 seniors.
So you went from 7 to 2 this year.
Yep.
And Lee really didn't play much last year, and Nick didn't play a whole lot either. So these guys don't really have a lot of. It's not an experienced senior group like you're used to having. Talk about that as a coach. How do you adjust to that? I mean, obviously last year you didn't really have to do much. I mean, I'm not trying to say anything negative there. I mean, you had a very experienced group, and they played together for such a long time that. As a coach, you had to have been like, these guys know what they're doing. I can let them play through certain situations.
Right.
There are certain things that I don't have to call timeout and tell them how I want them to play this out. And expect certain things. You can't do that this year. So how do you adjust to that?
The old adage of being able to roll the ball out, we were able to do that last year.
Yeah.
They did everything they were asked of. I let them do a lot of the defense and the calling the sets and and they all knew how to play basketball, and they learned fundamentals and discipline and skill from a very young age. So now it's just teaching them the all-around game. And now I called 3 timeouts Saturday night, and I think that's more than I called all of last year. So it is, and we're working through the growing pains, and we have some size that can go with our quickness and athleticism. So we just got to be able to trust the kids in each step of the way, and trust their athleticism and trust their understanding of the game.
Now, are we going to see more of that inside-out kind of game that we're used to seeing, where try to work it down low and try to get open shots for your guys on the perimeter?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. We have a couple of nice posts. Gavin Wagner, 6'4" sophomore post, has been extremely impressive. Carter Wolf, another 6'3", 6'4". He's a little, we like to call them tweeners, where they can play on the perimeter and go inside. And then our only upperclassman true post is Jacob Rombach, and he's 6'4", 185, and a streak of lightning. So
Yeah.
he's going to beat you down the floor regardless, so you better be able to get back, because he's just going to outrun you.
Well, we've seen him on the football field. That kid's quicker than a hiccup, man.
Correct.
He is. He's lightning fast, like you said. So, you got some post presence. What about the backcourt? Obviously, Nick Palm leading the way right now, but what's the rest of the backcourt looking like?
Right now it's Nick, and then Caden is going to be the 2-3. He can also go inside and out. He's a little bit taller than I am.
So he's like 6'4"?
Yeah, well, he's about 6'3", 6'4". Yeah, he likes to put that in my face that he's a little bit taller than me.
Of course he does.
Yeah, then you got the quarterback is our other off guard. Harry Schultz has done a very nice job. We're working with him on being catch ready to shoot.
Nice.
Because he's definitely a slasher. He's a driver, so we're trying to work on him and get some good shot selection in games.
Now, do you have to set up anything different for him being a lefty? You know, is that just you just work him into the sets, or is that like maybe you have to set him up in a different spot because he's a lefty? Or
no, he's pretty good at going both ways now.
Yeah.
He can finish left-handed and right-handed. So those are some of the things we work on in practice every day. So those guys are really just all about the team and trying to get better and trying to compete and win.
Nice. All right, Coach. So, we got this game with Old Fort coming up. Now, the first game that we're going to be broadcasting comes up on December 15th. We'll be there for the home matchup against Hopewell Loudon. Now, you and I talked a little bit off air, and you kind of highlighted Hopewell Loudon as kind of the team to beat this year in the River. Now, it's not – in years past, there's been a couple of good teams and then everybody else. This year it seems there might be a little bit more of an evening out this year, as far as there's some teams from the bottom that are getting a little better and some teams from the top that might be falling down towards the middle of the pack. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say anything, but when you look at this schedule and you look at how this landscape lays out, who are the teams that kind of catch your eye right now, other than Hopewell Loudon?
Like you said, Hopewell's done a very nice job. They got some nice size and some nice guards. And I keep telling people how athletic Danbury's going to be.
Yes.
They've got 3 or 4 6'4" kids that are pretty athletic, and you got a couple of shooters out there. So if you can do something with your size and skill, they're gonna upset some people. And
that's Diebler over there now.
Correct,
so.
and you get Danbury's never any good. I was like, keep an eye on them. They're still going to be pretty good.
Oh yeah.
St. Joe's got some nice junior, senior athletes. They're gonna be somebody that they've been down for the last couple of years, but they return a lot.
Yeah.
So those experience that they've had for the last 2 years is definitely going to make them a better team and a more competitive team. And you never know what St. Mary's is going to have.
Yeah,
They've got some nice guards coming back and some shooters, so they're going to be able to stretch the floor on you and pick up some wins too.
And New Riggle's always tough.
I love playing New Riegel because you might not have a lot of size, but they have a lot of heart.
Oh,
it's very competitive.
For sure.
They get after it offensively, defensively. They're going to execute until they get the shot they want, and I love that about their style of basketball.
Absolutely, and like we already talked about Old Fort, but that's kind of their style of basketball too. They'll play they play to their strengths. They play however they need to play to get the win. They'll morph their game plan, morph their game to their opponent. So, I mean, it just goes to show there's a lot of good coaches in this conference right now.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you're going to see a lot of parity this year. You're going to see a lot of teams that are going to pull upsets that you're going to say, "Wow, I didn't expect that to happen." It's like, well, you should be expecting that now. They're a team to be reckoned with.
There's a lot of balance, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Coach, any final thoughts here before I let you go? Because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on as a head coach. You got a lot of things on your plate. I really appreciate you carving me out a schedule, like just a chunk of your schedule, because you got a lot of stuff going on, man.
I'm just glad that you guys had us on. We're excited for the season. We're excited to continue to grow and get better, and we're ready to show some people what some of the young kids can do in the Seneca Nation.
There you go. I'm very excited because, like I said, folks, the last time we saw these guys, I mean, you guys have just finished up one heck of a magical run. That was a treat for us to be able to cover you guys all the way through. I mean, that Calvert group gave me a couple of special runs last year with
Correct.
basketball, baseball.
Yep.
That was a special group. So, once again, this is I'm excited to see this product on the floor and see what this team looks like, because it's going to be completely different than what we're used to.
Correct, absolutely.
We've been watching the same group of kids pretty much for the last 3-4 years playing together,
and
it's going to look a lot different.
It was a special ride last year, and we're ready to start another one.
That's right. Ready to get it going?
Yep.
All right, Coach. Well, we will see you on December 15th.
Sounds good.
And then we've got a few games on the broadcast schedule. I think we've got 5 games
Awesome.
total for Calvert. So looking
We'll
forward
be
to
there
it.
ready to go.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Tiffin Calvert boys basketball coach Jon Otterbacher coming on with us. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you share the video, like, follow, subscribe on all of our platforms, and go to a Calvert game, folks. This Friday, Calvert and Old Fort playing in Old Fort. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off. Make sure you make the drive over, check out the boys' team, and while you're over there, pull us up on your phone and watch the Columbia-Norwalk game.
That should be another good game as well.
There you go. Once again, for Jon Otterbacher and Greg Kinn, I'm Nate Mullins signing off from Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. You've been tuned in here on the Coach's Corner.